boys.
Hey,
Apparently Slimsh couldn't make it, so we're just going to get game one underway between Detective Diamond and Necrotic, who are currently doing bans.
yep. So we have Necrotic bringing Paladin, Priest, Shaman, and Warrior, and we have Detective Diamond bringing Druid, Hunter, Shaman, and Warrior. So looking at a Vicious Syndicate matrix about the decks, I think that Detective Diamond's going to bring Mid-Range Hunter, Pirate Warrior, Jade Druid, and Token Shaman because they just had the best matchups across the board. And Necrotic looks like he's probably just going to bring all aggro decks and Silence Priest because those beat up on mid-range Hunter. But I think the big matchup is going to be if Detective Diamond can get his mid-range Hunter to win because that is probably his worst matchup across the field. Lots of red in the matrix.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Have to see what the bans are coming out here in a minute.
Do you have any predictions on the bans?
I haven't been following this meta too much, as you know, with the whole Hombres Captain meme team style. Uh, I would say probably Paladin being banned on the side of Necrotic, just because Paladin's all around strong right now with the aggro Murloc package. And on Diamond's side, I would say possibly Druid for the same reasons.
Yep, it makes sense. I think one thing we can look out for is Supreme hasn't been winning much, so Detective Diamond might play meme decks and stuff because he doesn't care anymore about winning. And I'm kind of hoping that happens a little bit.
Meme decks, I know exactly what's going on with meme decks then. Kind of
Yeah,
my
we could see
specialty.
like double call the Wild Hunter maybe. Try to beat up on a Control Priest.
See, I'm so out of touch with the meta, I didn't even realize Double Call of the Wild was a meme at this point.
It's not very good.
I could definitely tell it was getting worse with the meta, or with the cards nerf to 9 mana, slowing it down, and the whole meta speeding up.
And it also looks like PrepCoin Concede, Necrotic's team, is winning right now. They're up 8-6 in the match. And they have a slight chance of making a playoff spot. They could fit in the fourth, like number 4 in the blue-red division. They're 1 point behind Aeon for fourth place going into this week, and they already have 8 points. So I'm expecting to see standard lists from Necrotic. Probably Murloc Aggro, Paladin, Silence Priest, Token Shaman, and probably a Pirate Warrior on his end. But he does have the options with his classes to go for a control style of decks because they both beat Token Shaman, Mid Range Hunter, Pirate Warrior if Detective Diamond decides to bring it, which is probably his best matchup. So he could go for that and try to beat Detective Diamond's best matches.
And the bans just came in. Looks like Necrotic had his Shaman band, and Detective Diamond had his Druid band.
So banning Druid makes me think that Necrotic is going to bring control decks because now he doesn't have to play against a Jade Druid, and the other decks don't have that great of matchups against other control ones.
Definitely makes sense. I know Hunter kind of finds its niche beating up on other mid-range decks because it can just be slightly faster than them. So bringing a full control lineup can kind of shut down both Hunter and a lot of Shaman lists. Warrior, depending on the list, still might struggle a bit.
Yep, and it looks like they're about to head into the game. We're just waiting for the spectating to load up, and then we'll start.
All right, so it looks
So
like first one is going to be the Necrotics Warrior versus the Hunter that we've been talking about. Time to see what kind of Hunter it is.
And it's a pirate warrior versus what I'm thinking is a mid-range hunter. A standard one with Tundra Rhino probably topping out on Savannah Highmane. But it looks like Necrotic is going to go for the all aggro, try to beat the mid-range hunter that way. On Necrotic side, you probably keep the Bloodsoul Raider in the South Sea deckhand and hope you get a weapon. You could also just get rid of everything except for the South Sea and try to get the weapon. On Detective
Ooh,
Diamond's
Drew
side,
Patches. Bad player alert.
ooh,
Or
the
bad play, at
Firefly
least.
on turn. Yeah, the Firefly on turn 1 is really nice. It stops most pushes, like N'Zoth's first mate has to hit with the weapon and it has to hit with the patches. But here I'd like to see Necrotic play out the South Sea. It just contests better, and he doesn't really have another play.
Yeah, the Patches doesn't really do anything, so the South Sea, while revealing that he's got Patches, will at least put a body on the board. But he opts to
And then
pass.
I'm not sure about that because now the hunter can just because what the hunter wants to do is snowball from turn 1, just go on, and not playing anything allows him to start doing this. He could be waiting for a weapon, but with it not being in hand, I don't like the play.
Definitely like the frothing pickup here, though. Trades with everything on board and just gets bigger and scarier as it does it.
Yeah, and from Necrotic side, there's not a good way to deal with it unless Detective Diamond had a weapon or kill command. And we see a Volcanosaur coming out from Detective Diamond. So this might go a bit higher in the curve. We might actually see a couple Call of the Wilds. Maybe a N'Zoth. But we just get the weapon trade in the 1-1 trading into the Frothing Berserker. Clears the board really nicely. Still allows Detect Diamond to have the board.
And still no great play, really. If he plays the Bloodsail, it's just going to eat the other weapon charge and the Firefly, but kind of have to do it at this point.
And eating the weapon charge isn't that bad. It lets him protect important cards like the South Sea Captain, or like if a Bloodsoul Raider comes down.
Yeah, the Hunter's definitely playing to his game plan right now of, like you said, just snowballing it out early. Oh, the Captain and the Patches. Guess I'm just going to clear out the 3-2. And then the Captain's just going to eat up the rest if he didn't have that second bow in hand.
And the Razor Maw is a nice pickup for Detective Diamond. It lets him fill up the curve. He can get a good adapt on one of the 1-1s. And the weapon has to be played here to kill the 3-3. It's too threatening.
Yep, that was like exactly what's going to happen. Razor Maw right onto the 1-1. Guessing just going to become a 2-2. Yep, there it is. So the Hunter definitely feels like it's in a solid position right now. The Warrior hasn't really given any threats and just letting the Hunter kind of fill the board and react to whatever he plays.
But Necrotic finally picked up his weapon, which allows the South Sea Captain to have charge.
Nope, he even realized that was a slight misplay there, picking up 1 extra face damage to himself.
And then we're probably just going to see a slam Highmane. And then
Yeah,
just hit with the 2 minions and end the turn.
Highmane on 6 turns out still pretty good. And he's got no real way to deal with the Highmane here.
I think the only way Necrotic can win is if he just goes all face here with the Heroic Strike and the Corkron. And then he picks up the second Heroic Strike. That's still 1-off
Yeah, it's still
lethal.
1-off. Might be better to do the Corkron hero power face and try and buy an extra turn.
The thing is, Detective Diamond has 2-turn lethal because he can't kill the Highmane no matter what. With the 2 1 damage minions.
Yeah, I forgot about the bow.
So I mean, he can hope he gets a Dread Corsair to try to stall another turn. from Necrotic side, but this Houndmaster is going to pretty much clean up the game. And I think I'd like to see the Houndmaster hit the high main instead of the 1/1, just because you want to build the biggest taunt minion that you can.
Yeah, and if he clears out the high main, you've still got the 2/2s to follow it up. So he never really deals with the board just by running everything into the high main. Oh, gonna choose to do it on the Rat Pack instead so he can get the 1/1 value. I can respect that. Trading with the high main, I'm not sure how much I like
value
that.
is very important in this matchup. You never know when those 1/1s can matter. It's not. The game's pretty much over for a Necrotic side.
Yeah.
You can either concede or let Detective Diamond deal lots of damage. Okay, so we see the concede out of Necrotic. So Detective Diamond is up 1-0 with his Hunter, and he is going to have his Shaman and his Warrior left. I think on Necrotic side, the Priest probably does the best against the Shaman and the Warrior. It could be iffy against the Shaman. He could also go for the Paladin, but I don't think he's going to queue up the Warrior again until the Shaman's gone. He wants to make sure his team can get as many points as possible.
Yeah, I'd like to see the
non-Detective Diamond side.
Just because
you probably just queue up the Shaman, try to get a win in case Necrotic plays Priest.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Paladin come out just because there's a few different versions of Shaman and Warrior.
The Hunter won that because he played a minion on turn 1. He snowballed off that minion on turn 1. He ended the game with the 1/2 Firefly token that he put down on turn 2, I think. So the Warrior really had little chance in that game. We're going to see the Shaman from Detective Diamond play against the Priest from Necrotic. And it looks like it's just going to be a Dragon Priest from Necrotic and a Evolved Shaman from Detective Diamond.
Evolved Shaman with some weapon hate and pirate tech, it looks like.
Yep. So Necrotic looks like he's going to mulligan the Priest of the Feast. I'd like Detective Diamond to mulligan away just the Maelstrom Portal. Maelstrom Portal isn't going to do much in this matchup, but Devolve has a chance. He decides to also mulligan the Devolve. Picks up a Mana Tide, which is pretty decent.
So with the Bloodsail, Corsairs, and Patches, and the whole pirate package, I'm assuming he's probably got Bloodlust, since that kind of screams to me trying to flood the board. So that'll be something Necrotic will have to worry about, keeping that board clear, which is something Dragon Priest excels at.
Especially if he can... Oh, this is a tough one from Necrotic. Primordial Drake and Draconiid Operative is really good pickups here. He's going to go with the Primordial Drake because I'm assuming he already has the Draconiid Operative in his hand.
Not to mention because the Operative is more of a value game, which showing the Pirates kind of leads me to believe he's not looking for a value game. He's kind of looking for a flood game. So the Primordial Drake will do a lot to clear that board when he's run out.
We're just going to see the Shadow Word Pain onto the Flame Tongue, which is good for Detective Diamond because that means he can get the Mana Tide out and it's going to survive for at least another turn. Unless Necrotic can top deck the second Shadow Word Pain. Also, going back to the Draconiid Operative, there's not many cards in the Shaman deck that the Priest really wants. I can think of Devolve, Maelstrom Portal, probably a couple of the Jade ones, but that's about it. Most of them are going to be Withs. And
so just went ahead and threw the Priest of the Feast out. Diamond doesn't really have a way to fully clear it. So I'm assuming it's probably just going to be all phase, so he's going to get 2 draws off his Mana Tide totem, which is always nice.
Detective Diamond doesn't have Bloodlust. He doesn't have Evolve. He doesn't really have anything that benefits from him having a super wide board. I would have liked to seen the Jade Lightning and the 2 1/1s trade into the Priest of the Feast, because this way the Priest of the Feast can kill off the Mana Tide. You lose most of your you lose most of your draws, and also this Potion of Madness is going to punish him.
Yeah, not to mention Priest is excellent at clearing out that face damage that he put in.
Well, especially at the Feast Alive. Now the chip damage they use with the 1/1s are pretty much meaningless. We see Detective Diamond go for the Jade Lightning this turn. He's also going to coin out a Firefly.
Makes sense with the evolve, just trying to build that board up as fast as possible to get some good evolve value out.
Yeah,
Hopefully, with all these 1-drops, he doesn't see a Doomsayer for his sake.
could be risky with the Doomsayer. We're going to see the Draconic Operative from Necrotic. Stonehill Defender is one of the good cards that Necrotic can get out of Detective Diamond's.
Yeah, it's a really good value card, and it stops a lot of the aggro push that Diamond's trying to put out.
Yep. Detective Diamond has Alakir, Sunwalker, Earth Element. He's going to pick the Alakir, which I think is pretty good. You already saw one Shadow Word Pain. The second one is most likely not in his hand because he didn't use it on the Mana Tide. So it's probably going to survive.
Yeah, and Alakir is great at pushing out a lot of face damage, especially with Bloodlust and Flame Tongues.
So I think with these trading, we're going to see an Evolve this turn. Hopefully we don't get the Detective Diamond doesn't get the Doomsayer. Oh, and the Alarmabot. That could pull out Alakir.
Also a couple
Get
duds
lucky.
that it could pull out, though. Mostly duds, in
Yeah.
fact.
I mean, most of them aren't that bad because they're going to come onto he wants them to come onto the board soon anyway.
Yeah.
And
He's just looking
Detective
for that
Diamond just
Bloodlust top
messaged
deck
me
at this
the
point.
dream. But yeah, he could get Alakir into Bloodlust and the Flame Tongue Totem. That's 8 damage with Wind Fury. That's 16 damage to the face. That'd be really amazing.
Yeah, that's a game ender for sure.
We saw the Potion of Madness come out for Detective Diamond. I think he's going to use it. Oh. So he's going to kill off the Alarmabot. I don't like taking the taunt, personally. I don't think there's not many.
Ooh,
You
choosing
could
to
have
leave
killed.
the Alarmabot.
Yeah,
That's risky.
that is risky. You could have killed off the taunt and kept the 4-2 alive.
He got fairly lucky pulling out the Flame Tongue, but that does cause a little bit of a problem with that 4-2 taunt in the way now.
Yeah. Well, it does set up for a Primordial Drake, as little of it as it does. Especially with this trade, the Primordial Drake's going to be really good. Just going to leave up the 2 totems. On the Detective Diamond side, I think I'd like to see the Alarmabot come down again, just to try to get the Alakir out.
Yeah, the Alarmabot, the Pirate, and the token. Oh, going the Firefly instead. Now he's got a couple more whiffs. Oh, not even going to play it.
Going into turn 8, that's the Primordial Drake turn, especially with especially running Dragon. You know he's going to be running Primordial Drakes in the deck. So we got lucky getting the Healing Totem because that puts most of his minions out of the Primordial Drake range. So I think I'd like to see the Dragonfire here.
Yeah, get
Clear
the full
the board,
clear,
yeah.
stabilize.
Then try to get the scraps with the Primordial Drake later.
If he doesn't drop anything too threatening, he can even just throw down the Ysera and start building up major value there.
So on Detective Diamond's side, we just see the Alakir, and he just goes straight for the face. It's not a bad play. There's not a very clean way for a Necrotic to deal with it.
Yeah, and like you said, he already played one Shadow Word Pain, so the chance of him having another one by now is somewhat low.
I like the Bog Creeper over the Primordial Drake last turn. It lets you fit a hero power in, and the Alakir, regardless of which minions you're playing, is going to hit into it twice.
Yeah,
But the Devolve comes down, makes it a 5/5. Go ahead.
which that'll clean up the Alec here nicely this turn, but he's got nothing to answer that Mana Tide now, and Detective Diamond's just drawn through his deck.
And the Mana Tide staying alive is a big deal for Detective Diamond because he really needs the cards. His hand is, there's not really any value left in it. You have an Alarmabot that's gonna grab a Bloodsail Cultist. On Necrotic side, yeah, he's just gonna play down the Bog Creeper, the big taunt. He's gonna heal face, hope that Detective Diamond doesn't have a Bloodlust, which he doesn't in hand. So the Devolve is coming out. Gives a 5/5 again. And at this point, he's just going to go wide and kind of hope he draws Bloodlust soon.
Double Maelstrom, that's not too terrible. Could help with some value trades, especially if he can roll Spell Power next turn. Ooh, another Potion of Madness coming out that could help deal with some of these tokens and get some nice healing from the Priest.
Yeah, well, he has a full clear with Primordial Drake, regardless of whatever other card he plays. So I think I'd like to see him use that, just because there's no way the Shaman can win without them having a board, and that's what Necrotic decides to do too. So Detective Diamond's going to go with the Stonehill.
Oh, depending on what he's got in his deck, Curator could be big, helping him draw more key cards and thin his deck out a bit more.
I don't think he has any cards that get pulled from Curator, yeah. So we just see the concede from Detective Diamond. There's no way that he gets past that wall of taunts. And even if he did get rid of those taunts, the Priest just had way too much value in his hand. So the series is all tied up 1-1. Necrotic has his Paladin
And Pirate Warrior.
and his Warrior and his Priest remaining. And Detective Diamond still has his Shaman and the Warrior remaining. I like Detective Diamond playing the Shaman again, just because it's the better of the two decks against Necrotic's classes. And Necrotic is probably going to go...
I would assume he'd go with the Paladin, just because the Pirate Warrior
probably going to go with his Paladin.
Yeah, the Pirate Warrior doesn't match up great
like
against
both
the
of
Shaman.
them aren't very good against Token Shaman. It's kind of, they're both like 40-60 matchups in the favor of the Token Shaman. So you can't really go wrong with either the Paladin or the Warrior. So game 3, we do have the Paladin from Necrotic against the Token Shaman from Detective Diamond. Define favor the Murlocs makes me think it's probably an aggro Paladin.
Yeah, especially with the Blessing of Kings.
I think you probably just keep the Rockpool Hunter. You really want one of the one-drop minions. Or if you can get a Hydrologist and then you can coin out the Hydrologist, that's also good. On Detective Diamond's side, you probably just get rid of the Doppelgangster and keep the Devolve and the Jade Claws. Devolve is really good to fend off the early game, and Jade Claws is also really good as well.
Yeah, that Devolve really shuts down a lot of that Murloc synergy.
So Detective Diamond doesn't have a turn 1 play. Just going to pass even to Necrotic. Necrotic's just going to slam down the Tide Caller. Just going to get killed by the Jade Claws.
Luckily, he's got another
onto turn 2, he has the choice of playing Rockpool Hunter or Bilefin. Both of them are just going to die to the minion of the weapon. I think the Bilefin is the... With no Murlocs in hand,
just because
the Rockpool Hunter might be the better choice on a turn 2 just to throw away. Okay, so he decides just to hero power. I don't like it as much because this gives the tempo straight to the Shaman player, and that's the one thing that you don't want to give the Shaman. You don't want them to have the board play tempo. I don't think Necrotic's playing Consecration because he's running Divine Favor. So he needs to establish board presence really early. So he goes for the Taunt Murloc and the Rockpool Hunter to buff up the Bilefin.
I like this. It makes it to where he has to have something
Detective
in
Diamond
hand
side, he's just going to drop the Mana Tide Totem. Lets him play Hero Power and thing from below the next turn, and he gets to clear off 2 of the minions. So Necrotic picks up the Blessing Kings, and he just snap picks that.
Yeah, just get rid
And
of
now
that
he's
totem
thinking
as
about it.
fast
I
as
don't think
possible.
that's the actual play. It loses to Devolve easily.
Ooh, going face.
Oh, he doesn't kill the Manatide totem. That's a big deal. Him leaving up the Manatide is like Detected Diamond having the Manatide totem up is huge. It just it lets him have board advantage and value. Like it lets him have the tempo and value in a matchup where you run out of cards really quickly and you really want the extra cards. So on Necrotic side, he has a 2/1 after the Devolve, and then he also has a War Leader. He picked up the War Leader. I like to see him use the Steward of Darkshire and the Murloc Tidehunter, just because that gets the Divine Shields. So he's going to go with the same play. And then the 2/1 is probably... All right, that's just going to trade into the 1/1. So on Detected Diamond side, he has the double thing from below that he can go in. He can do Flame Tongue Totem, Hero Power, double thing from below, which is probably his best option. Just
Looks like
lets
just
him
going the hero power with double
contest the
thing.
board better, probably kill off one of the 2/1s. So he decides to not play the Flame Tongue Totem. He's just going to draw the Hero Power and the 2 5/5s. And then on Necrotic side, we're probably going to see the Gentle Megasaur come out. He wants to get he wants to get the +3 buff. Alternatively, he can also go Rallying Blade War Leader, and that allows the Tidehunter to be 5 attack, and then the Murloc Scout's also is gonna be 4 attack, and then he can clear off both the 5/5s with Rallying Blade. He can clear off one of the totems with the Steward of Darkshire, and he still has lots of cards on the board. So I think I would like to see him go Murloc War Leader and Rallying Blade.
It looks like he chooses to go Gentle Megasaur
So we got
instead.
Poisonous Stealth, and so it clears off both the 5/5s, and he gets to clear off the 0/3. So he's
really
gonna
not afraid of
decide
that
to
draw
clear
totem.
off the totem that creates the Murlocs, probably because he has Divine Favor. So he's thinking that him getting cards is more important than Detective Diamond getting cards. So that's why he wants to leave the Manatide totem up so that he can play Divine Favor to get tons of cards. On Detective Diamond side, we're definitely going to see a Maelstrom to kill off the 1 health guys. It's probably going to trade into the Divine Shield and then play Maelstrom, which is not the worst plan.
With spell power, I'd like to see. Okay, he's just going to use the Murloc token to do it.
Okay, so he clears off everything except for the Gentle Megasaur, and then with the Flame Tongue Totem, it allows the Wrath of Air Totem to kill off the Megasaur, and then it also allows the Manatide Totem to hit face. So now Detective Diamond has a full board clear. He has advantage of the board. He has tons of cards in his hand. He's in a very favorable position right now. Necrotic is going for Divine Favor, trying to pick up something to help him, possibly.
I don't like to
He's
see
probably
the
looking for
Argent
Dread
Squire
Corsair.
go
He's
down
running
first.
the UK. He's running the UK Paladin, which runs Dread Corsair and the patches. And Dread Corsair would have been really good right here. It can kill off the 4/1. Instead, he decides just to go with the Argent Squire and the Rallying Blade. So allows the Argent Squire to be buffed up to a 2/2, and hopefully you can use it to kill something else. Detective Diamond's probably just looking to clear off the board. He can trade with the Manatide Totem. He can trade the Manatide Totem and then evolve, and it doesn't.
Oh, just going to push the face damage before the evolve.
Okay, so the evolve comes out. He gets a bunch of big minions. He gets a thing from below. He gets a fire elemental. The Felorc Soulfiend isn't that bad either.
Tyrion's a pretty big pickup here, but it's just going to be eaten up by the fire elemental, it looks like.
So on Detective Diamond, then Bloodlust deals 7 + 9. I think Bloodlust with Flame Tongue is lethal here if he sequences it right. You have to put the Flame Tongue in something that's not next to the 1/1, because that's probably what's going to be traded in. Okay, Okay, is 8. Yeah, he definitely is lethal here. So we see Detective Diamond win the game. The Shaman against the UK Paladin for Necrotic. I think the big thing with this matchup is that Necrotic never killed off the Manatite Totem when he had the chance, which allowed Detective Diamond to draw all the cards he needed to refill his board every single time it got killed, and that's what allowed the Shaman to beat the Paladin. So now left, Detective Diamond has his warrior left against Necrotic's Pirate Warrior and the UK aggro Paladin. If it's Pirate Warrior, Pirate Warrior is favored against the Paladin, and it's also a 50-50 against the Warrior. So if it's Taunt Warrior, I think the matchups flip, and the Paladin is a bit more favored. Where the Detective Diamond's Taunt Warrior is more favored against the Pirate Warrior. So on the Necrotic side, it's kind of a toss. It's kind of a toss up on what you think your opponent's going to be. He's brought in his other two decks were aggro decks, so you're more inclined to think that he's playing Pirate Warrior, which means that his Warrior is probably the best matchup for against it. So we'll see what happens. So the game is starting now. And we do have the Warrior Mirror. So Necrotic is probably thinking it's a Pirate Warrior.
Ooh,
On
Quest
Detective
Warrior.
Diamonds, we see the quest. Detective Diamond going into the matchup should be favored. Necrotic has a terrible starting hand. You pitch everything. On Detective Diamond side, you saw his Pirate Warrior. You probably get rid of the quest. You don't have to because you have a nice curve, but you might want to be looking for a Fiery War Axe, so you might get rid of the Bloodhoof Brave and the quest.
Chooses to keep everything.
Can we talk about how Necrotic drew patches again? 2 games playing Pirate Warrior.
Actually, I think every time we've seen patches so far this series, it has come down from hand.
These guys need to get better at Hearthstone. Everyone knows the best player never draws patches. So Necrotic's just going to hit with the Fire War Axe because he picked up the second one. Just deal as much face damage as he can. On Detective Diamond, he's probably just going to drop the Armor Smith because it can test with the board and it kills off the Fiery War Axe.
And gets him some nice armor in the meantime. That Dread Corsair is a nice pickup. It'll let him re-weapon if he wants to. And he's just going to choose to push the face damage.
Wow, Necrotic not clearing off the board again in the early games of an aggro matchup. And the Stonehill Defender coming down is going to punish him.
And that Tar Creeper is a nice pickup too.
Because 2 of the 3 damage that comes from the, well, actually not anymore, but 1 of the 3 damage they used to hit with the War Axe earlier, Detective Diamond's going to get it back with the Armor Smith because he never killed it. So Detective Diamond, he picked up the Ally Smith. He can coin that out. Alternatively, he can just keep his play the Bloodhoof Brave. It can test with most of the board, but the weapon and the 3/4 can trade in, and then he still has his full board.
I do like that trade though, forcing if he wants to use the taunt to trade in, it'll kill it, no matter when he does the trade.
It was good playing around. If yeah, it was just a good play all around. So we're gonna see the Heroic Strike come out, and then the Patches is finally going to trade with the Armor Smith, and then Necrotic still has a pretty big board right now. There's no way for Detective Diamond to deal with it. He can slam the 3/2 to kill it off, but there's still 13 damage on the board without the Dread Corsair.
This is a tough pickup. I think I like the Ornery Direhorn pickup here, just to try and fill out his curve a little bit better.
He's gonna play down the 2 taunts. really nothing on Necrotic side trades well into the Tar Creeper. He's gonna have to get rid of the Bloodsteel Raider if he wants to, and that's 6 damage that can't be going face.
Alternatively, he could also choose to Mortal Strike it and trade like his 3/4 into it, keep all his minions alive. But that that is a Mortal Strike down, so that could come back to bite him. But I think I'd like to see that keep the board going.
So he's gonna go with the Mortal Strike. Whoa! He hit the Mortal Strike in the Stonehill Defender, which is probably where his weapon should have gone.
Yeah, I just took an extra 2 damage there for no reason.
Yeah, I mean the damage doesn't matter too much in the matchup because once the Pirate Warrior runs out of steam, that's when the Taunt Warrior wins. And on Detective Diamond side, we're probably just going to see the Ali Armorsmith come out. It's the best defensive option that he has.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed to kill at least one thing here if he didn't have the N'Zoth first mate, that is.
And unfortunately for Detective Diamond, Necrotic does have the N'Zoth's first mate. So this is going to be a clean trade with the Bloodsteel Raider and the weapon hit. So after the armor and the attacks with the minions, Detective Diamond is going to be put onto 4 health, and he really needs to draw a Brawl or a Sleep with the Fishes at this turn if he wants a chance of coming back.
I think I would have liked to have seen him hold on to the Naga Corsair there for at least one more turn, just because he's going to be threatening lethal with what he has on board no matter what.
If he's scared of Sleep with the Fishes or Ravaging Ghoul, then it makes sense playing the Naga Corsair because that can test with whatever else he has on the board. Detective Diamond just gets flooded too hard, and he's going to concede the game. So now we have a 2-2 tie going into game 5. It's going to be Necrotic's Paladin with Argent Squires and Rallying Blade against Detective Diamond's Taunt Warrior.
So this matchup I'm not too familiar with, but I would assume it all comes down to similar to the Pirate Warrior versus Taunt Warrior matchup, where it's all about how well the Taunt Warrior does at slowing the pirate or the paladin down as much as possible, and getting to that late game and just grinding him out.
The difference with this matchup is that Warriors have a very hard time dealing with Tyrians, and we saw that Necrotic plays Tyrian in his list, and he can also discover Tyrians from the Stonehill Defenders. So lots of it comes down, if he can get 2 or 3 Tyrians, then he's in a very favorable position going into the long run of the game. So if I'm Detective Diamond, I'm probably getting rid of the Whirlwind and the Battle Rage.
Yeah, those
Getting
2 cards are pretty much dead early on. On Necrotic side though, his hand's actually looking pretty good this game. Can coin out one of the 2-drop Murlocs turn 1 if he has to, and 2-drop into hopefully drawing a 3-drop into Megasaur seems pretty good.
Okay, so Detective Diamond decides to keep the quest and keep the Whirlwind. Picks up an Armorsmith, which is pretty good for a turn 2 play. Necrotic decides to keep the Gentle Megasaur, which is it's a very risky play because you're assuming that your 2-1 and your 2-2 are going to survive on the field. Which if the Warrior is a Fiery War Axe or a Ravaging Ghoul, then at least half of them are gone. But he picks up the Vilefin Inquisitor, which is a really good pickup for him. Detective Diamond just going to drop the Armorsmith. So Necrotic's going to go all in on this board, using the coin and playing 2 minions. Little does he know that there's a Whirlwind, and even if he's not, I don't like the play too much because this is the Ravaging Ghoul turn. So so putting down a taunt to try to keep the Tidecaller alive, that doesn't happen too often, and that's what we see. A full clear on Detective Diamond side, which is what he wanted. So Necrotic goes for the Noble Sacrifice. he wants to keep his Hydrologist alive so that he can play the Blessing of Kings the turn after.
Which that Kings
And
will do work against that 2/6.
yeah, that's a big deal. He is a 6/4 on an empty board. We don't see an Executor in Detective Diamond's hand. Necrotic is hoping he doesn't have an Executor in the hand. And Detective Diamond really doesn't have a good way of answering this for a while. And of course, he picks up the Sleep for the Fishes. That's going to clear the board. I think you have to do it at this point. The 6/4 is way too threatening.
Yeah. And that's going to leave both players with fairly dead hands for a while.
Okay. He's probably just going to drop the Tide Hunter with the Hero Power. I wouldn't... Yeah, that's probably the only play that he could have gone. It sets up for the Gentle Megasaur. Detective Diamond's already played a Whirlwind effect, so there's probably not that many left. In his deck, probably 2 more at most. He's going to drop the...
Drop the Tar Creeper, try and eat up these little Murlocs, but that Megasaur might have something to say about that. Made the right play, always play the golden one first.
Ooh. You have to take the Living Spores. 1, it's just the best option, and 2, because it's golden, I think the tokens that come out will be golden too.
Yeah, it keeps his board fairly healthy.
Oh, they're not golden. That's very disappointing.
I believe the Murlocs have to be golden for them to come out golden.
Well, that's very disappointing. I was looking forward to some golden cards on THL. We did get the Gentle Megasaur. So the Curator comes out. It pulls the Primordial Drake. So I'd like to see the tokens trade into the Curator so that the Primordial Drake has less value.
Might even see the Kings come out just to actually be able to finish it off without using the Megasaur, just because he's going to be 1 damage short this way.
Yeah, it allows the Megasaur to stay alive. Also using it on the... So the Primordial Drake's probably going to come, but at least Necrotic still gets a 5/2 and 2 1/1s out of it, which is not too bad, especially now that he got Sunkeeper Tarim. On Detective Diamond side, you have to just slam the Primordial Drake. Having a board that wide is very threatening.
Yeah, it cleans up the board fairly nicely. Doesn't quite have a way on board to deal with the Primordial Drake, but we do see the Sunkeeper in hand, like you said.
And we're going to see the Sunkeeper. So now Detective Diamond, his Primordial Drake isn't going to deal with the board. His Bloodhoof Brave and the Direhorn Hatchling, that semi-deals with the board.
That
So his
Tarlord
best
could
option...
be pretty good with Sunkeeper down and not seeing any equalities last turn. That 11 health could be a real pain to get through.
Yeah, and seeing the Argent Squire and the other 1-drop Murlocs, he probably doesn't think the Necrotic is running any equalities. So the Tarlord, like, that kills most of the minions on Necrotic side. And on Necrotic side, he's going to play the Grime Skill Chum, and I think he's deciding between the War Leader, playing the War Leader and the Megasaur, or playing Tyrion. But instead, he's probably going to go War Leader into the Hero Power into the Gentle Megasaur, if he decides to go that route. He does decide to go with the Tyrion. He didn't say the Brawl last turn, so there's not a good way for Detective Diamond to clear off this Tyrion. But trading into the Stonehill Defender does leave Necrotic's minions at 2 health, which means the Primordial Drake has the ability to clean up half the board, takes out the Divine Shield of the Tyrion, and it allows him to complete the quest.
And that quest could do work in getting rid of this Tyrion that he's going to have trouble with. Here, there's not really that great of a play. He could double trade to get rid of that, and then just
He
kind of try
has
and
the
refill the board.
so he's gonna go with the Gentle Megasaur play. He's hoping that Detective Diamond doesn't get another brawl. I think I would have liked to see the Steward or Darkshire be played.
Snap picks the Divine Shield. I didn't even see the other options.
No, but like other than brawl, there's no way that Detective Diamond can clear the board. And also it essentially neutralizes the hero power the Ragnaros hero power that comes from Sulfuras on one of the 3 Murlocs. It's just going to deal 0 damage. So it looks like Detective Diamond is in an unfavorable position, and Necrotic can clear off this Tarlord without losing any of his minions. Especially with this Rockpool Hunter, he can trade in the weapon and the Grim Skill Charm that becomes 6 attack. And then he's doing 13 damage to the face.
Yeah, and the 5 face damage doesn't really matter at this point.
Detective Diamond at this point has to have a brawl, top deck brawl. He has to hit the minion after the brawl survives with his Ragnaros hero power, and he has to put down a taunt. There's just way too much that Detective Diamond has to do if he wants to have a chance to win.
Gets a good hero power, but he knows it's over anyways, so just goes ahead and commits suicide there on the minion.
And Necrotic pulls off the half of a reverse come. Well, he came back with the comeback. Well, he was down 2-1. He came back with the next 2 wins. It's good game. Good plays from both sides.
Yep, and now we're going to go ahead and start setting up the next match, which is going to be Old Granddad from Noob Central and Sunshine from Team Golden Wisp.
So Old Granddad's bringing Druid, Mage, Paladin, Rogue. Sunshine's bringing Druid, Paladin, Priest, and Warrior. And looking at the classes that Sunshine has brought throughout the weeks, week 2 to 9, he's brought in the exact same classes every week. And in week 1, the only difference he has is he played Hunter instead of Druid. But it appears to be working out with him. He's 6-2 in THL this season. One of his losses was a 2-3, so he still picked up 2 points, and the other loss was a 1-3. So he still at least picked up 1 point in every series, which is probably one of the reasons why Team Golden Wisp is doing so well. Sunshine had a great season last season. He's having a great season again this season. On the other side, I happened to play against Old Granddad, and when I played against him, he brought all control decks. So I think that he could bring all control decks again. But of course, he's bringing Rogue, so it might be a Quest Rogue. And Old Granddad, in the 6 weeks that he's been playing in THL this season, in the 7 weeks that he's playing in THL this season, 6 weeks he's brought Druid, Mage, and Paladin. So these guys like to stick to the classes that have been working for them.
All right, and now we're actually going to have Detective Diamond hopping in to help with the casting so I can kind of focus on the OBS side of things.
Hey guys.
Hey, good
How you doing?
games. Too bad you couldn't pull off the win for your team.
Yeah, but it was a really good series. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun to cast.
Yeah, it's a good one. Definitely. I like at the end of the series, Necrotic messaged me and said this was the best series of the season, hands down. Yeah, it was a good one.
I'm just disappointed you didn't get the Alakir dream from
Yeah, that would have been funny. That would have been really funny. All right, so are we starting the next matches?
Yep, we're waiting for them to start. If you've seen the classes, who do you think is favored in these matchups?
Let me pull up the classes.
And what do you think about the road being picked in THL?
Yep. So the players who are playing this match are
It's Old Granddad versus Sunshine.
Old Granddad versus Sunshine.
Yes. And except for the Rogue from Old Granddad, 7 of the 8 classes are picked pretty much every week by both of them.
Yep. Okay, so Old Granddad's bring Druid, Mage, Paladin, and Rogue. And Sunshine has got Druid, Paladin, Priest, and Warrior. So being in the 4 seed, I can tell you I've seen a lot of these exact classes. Druid, Mage, and Paladin have been seen every single week, either in every single one of my matches in the 4 seed, and have performed very well. I have seen a lot of Mage bans and a lot of Druid bans, so interesting to see what will come into effect there. On the side of Sunshine, Druid, Paladin, Priest, and Warrior. I've seen a couple Priests here and there, and they, as you saw in this past series, have been extremely effective at taking out one of the key decks, whether it's a favored matchup for the Priest or even not. But I definitely think this is going to be an interesting series.
Mm-hmm. I think from the Sunshine, the way his classes are set up, it allows him to go quad aggro. And Old Granddad brought the Rogue, so I'm assuming that Sunshine is going to go with the quad aggro picks. But yep. I think that the big deal is whether Sunshine's Priest can win. Because I know you're talking about how good Priest is. Vicious Syndicate says otherwise. There's lots of red matchups for the Priest.
Yeah, I could see that. I just going from a personal experience, I've had some issues against Priests this season. But if we see an aggro Priest, I would be so happy. That would just make my day if we get an aggro Priest.
Well, the aggro Priest is probably just going to be Silence Priest with Divine Spirit and Inner Fire. But I want to see something super janky, like Murloc Priest.
Oh,
double Mind Blast.
That'd be a good time. But yeah, there's definitely potential for a highly aggressive line from Sunshine, and for Old Granddad, probably going to be very similar, I think, in the terms of aggro Druid, a burn Mage, and probably either an aggro or a mid-range Paladin. The Rogue, we'll have to see about. Again, this is, like you said, not something that's been brought every single week by this player, but I do think that Rogue is a pretty good deck to fill up this lineup of very flexible decks. Druid and Paladin, obviously extremely flexible, can go either the aggro way or the control way. And Rogue, while usually it follows a very similar path on different archetypes, can still be variated to fit whatever lineup he's going with.
Yeah, and I wonder whether the announcement of Quest Rogue being nerfed makes Old Granddad want to play Quest Rogue one last time before it's too late in THL.
Right.
According to Markshire, 0% win rate against aggro decks.
That'd be a cool thing to see. But that is definitely going to be that would definitely be punished if Sunshine is in fact running a hyper aggro list.
There is the possibility. There's been a Tempo Elemental Rogue deck that's been floating around in the last week, and it does pretty well against aggro. So if you think Sunshine's bringing all aggro, he could be bringing that deck.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're not going to get to see what the rogue is since it got banned, and Sunshine had his druid banned.
All right. Can I get um, the tags, the alt tags of players?
All right, I'll message you them. With the rogue band, I'm guessing that Sunshine is going to bring all control decks or mostly control decks, because the rogue is pretty much an auto win against the control decks regardless of what they are.
Sure, that makes sense.
And then with the druid ban, old granddad could also be bringing control decks because he's scared of Jade Druid, or he could just think that both the druid decks just run him over and he doesn't want to give Sunshine any points.
I mean,
But it is-
there's many different possibilities of where this could go. We're excited to
Well,
see.
it looks like they're in the game now, so we'll load it up and start casting. This is a big week for Noob Central, though. They have a chance of getting into that 4th spot in the conference. So old granddad is really looking for a big win here.
And it looks like we have a Quest Warrior versus a Medivh Mage.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is probably just the Burn Mage that's been going around all season.
It's Burn Mage with an Archmage Antonidas. This is just lots of damage from old granddad's side.
That's pretty cool.
Neither player seems to have a very good early start, but Sunshine has a little bit of an advantage in getting to build up that armor in the early game while they're both able to do almost nothing.
Sure.
And also Sunshine got the Acolytes, so not having an early game isn't that big of a deal.
We'll be able to run that out as soon as possible and get that cycle going.
So we see Acolyte of Pain. So it could be like a Freeze Mage shell just with a Medivh put into the deck just for the control matchups.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
we see
it's
the
definitely
Tar Creeper come
interesting.
down. Yeah.
Looks like he's got some weapon hate in there too. Makes sense with all of the weapon classes that old granddad brought, or that Sunshine brought.
Yeah, and then he's probably just... It's tough because he doesn't really have a good play. He has 8 cards in hand, so if he decides to ping his own Acolyte, he's going to have to throw out cards, or else he has the chance of getting milled. He could just Frostbolt the Acolyte to try to deny draw, and then he could also coin out the Gluttonous Ooze if he's scared of overdrawing and milling, or alternatively, he can just play the Frostbolt and then ping his own Acolyte.
Looks like he's just going to go ahead and run with that line of play. Can one of you message old granddad and tell him to accept my request?
Okay, so old granddad decides to Fireball.
Chooses to go ahead and blast his opponent's face instead of his Acolyte, chipping away a little bit of that armor. Fortunately, does lose out on a second draw from that Acolyte.
So we're going to see the Gluttonous Ooze come down for old granddad. It's going to kill off the Fire War Axe. He's also going to kill the Arcanologist because he cares about the secret more than denying the Acolyte of Pain extra draws, which he could have with a Primordial Glyph into something else. This is more consistent. It's a more consistent play. It's less risking on RNG to stop it. And then on Sunshine's side, we're probably just going to see the Alley Armorsmith and the Diver and Hatchling drop. He could try to get cute, get like Whirlwind to try to get more draws off of Acolyte. We are going to see this.
Diamond, make sure you typed his name right when you set the friend request. He said he didn't get one.
Okay.
So we're going to see the Alley Armorsmith. It trades with the Arcanologist really well. And then on Old Granddad's side, he picked up the Doomsayer, so he could drop that and hope that Sunshine doesn't have a way to clear it, and then he can start dropping threat after threat after threat. I think most likely we're going to start with a Primordial Glyph just to see what he gets. So he does drop the Doomsayer. He's going to play the Counterspell to play around an Execute or a Brawl that comes down. Which, if he does, that's really good. So Sunshine is going to try to execute the Doomsayer, try to keep his Alley Armorsmith alive. It's not going to work. It's going to get counterspelled. That's a big deal. Now,
Yeah,
Granddad's
that
threats are
lets
going to
him.
live.
Not
That
only
lets
does he
him,
lose his Alley Armorsmith, but now he is down an Execute, which may be a big deal later in terms of dealing with, say, Antonidas or the Medivh from earlier.
It looks like he might just be holding onto this coin, so that way after he gets the Archmage down, he could possibly coin into Primordial Glyph and start filling his hand with all those fireballs. Right, so we see the Direhorn Armorsmith come down. Not really too much else he could have done in his hand. He could have thrown out the Bloodhoof, but this contests the Mana Worm a little bit better.
Yep. Looking at a Flame Strike trade play.
So this clears off the whole board. I
Mhm.
think I would have liked the Medivh coming down first. It does get the 7 mana minion from the Flame Strike, and the 7/7 hitting phase isn't too important in this matchup.
Sure.
Yeah, especially with all the burn he's got in his hand with Alex, Pyroblast, Archmage.
I would love to see I'd love to see Medivh come down now. Antonidas come down now, which is what he's going to go along with. He's going to coin for Fireball first, and then looking to play Arcanologist. Nope, going to go with the Primordial Glyph to try to get that get some more fireballs. Finds another Frostbolt, which could be pretty good, especially considering it costs 0 mana.
Yeah, the Frostbolt allows him to get a 3rd Fireball, which he really need. He doesn't need a ton of burn in the matchup, but he does need a bit more than he has in the hand.
Yep. He could have also potentially gone for the Ice Block and been able to play it for 1 mana because of the reduction and still gotten the Fireball. But this Frostbolt allows him a bit more flexibility and is able to freeze that Bloodhoof Brave and stop a potential Sleep with the Fishes slam kind of deal, which is exactly what would have happened if he had not Frostbolted it.
That being said, I think there might have been merit to keeping the Frostbolt because Fireball, Frostbolt's 15 damage after an Alexstrasza comes down. Where this way, the max he can do is 13 with a Fireball, and a Hero Power.
And unfortunately, he is going to. Unfortunately, Sunshine is going to lose his Bloodhoof Brave with this and not have very good tools aside from a 50-50 brawl to deal with this Alex. A Direhorn Matriarch, however, could definitely do the trick.
Yep, and it gets him. Sunshine's close to the quest, which is important for dealing the pressure onto the mage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just
And
needs
he's
to be able
armored himself
to
up
pick up
all
one more
necessary.
taunt.
Yep. He's gonna play Medivh now, and looks like Frostbolt the 3/3, and then just tank Alexstrasza into the 6/9.
I think he might actually hit his face with the weapon.
Yep.
So this
Looks
is
like it.
something you see very rarely, but it does clear off the whole board.
I would have liked to see the Frostbolt before the Medivh play, because preserving an extra ATS trigger with the weapon is very important if you're going to the pyroblast turn, and a 2-drop in this situation is not going to do so much. So I would have liked to see the Frostbolt before the Medivh, but
Yeah. Well, we do see the Pyroblast and the 10 mana
Yep.
minion. Turns out to be an Azoth, which is okay. Like there are worse, but it's not that great. You're looking for a 12/12 or an E-Charge.
I think I would have
Agreed.
liked to see a fireball and just trading the 2/1 in, going face with Medivh. You get a 4 mana minion instead of a 10 mana, but it keeps that Medivh nice and healthy.
Yep. Now it's interesting. We could see I would imagine we would see a face tank Sulfuris into the Medivh and then Ragnaros Hero Power. Instead, he's just going to go ahead and play the Armor Smith. This does allow Old Granddad to do a full clear if he wishes with his ping, and then double fireball his opponent's face. But he would lose his Medivh in the process. But that's probably going to be inevitable, considering it's at 1 health anyway.
He could actually save his Medivh just by fireballing both minions, paying
That's
the
true.
2/7, and then going face.
This way, he gets to push 12 damage face. I guess he would have been able to push 12 damage anyway, but he does get to put down the mana orb and start pumping that up as well. Decides not to go for the double fireball and instead goes for just the Firelance portal from the Primordial Glyph for now.
And the Firelance portal is a really nice pickup off the Primordial Glyph.
Absolutely. It's going to Arcane Intellect instead of Firelance portaling the face, and is also not going to play that Arcanologist sitting in his hand.
I would have liked the Firelance portal here. You really want to start like putting pressure onto the warrior at this point. You have so much burn in your hand. It's going to take 3 turns to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, and if you kept the pressure up, you might have been able to keep him from playing his weapon, which could be counterintuitive because he keeps drawing armor, but he also doesn't have a major threat that way with his hero power.
The 8/8 does get taken out, which stops. Sorry, the 8/5/5 does get taken out by the 8 damage, and still not a ton of burn commitment coming out from Old Granddad here, taking it slow. He does have more than enough damage in his hand now to finish this game over the course of the next 3 turns if he decides to go that route.
Well, he does have 2-turn lethal. I don't think there's anything else in Sunshine's list that can get him armor. He's already used both Alley Armor Smiths. I don't think he's running... It doesn't look like he's running Shield Block. Just going face here twice with Fireball over the turns. Like with the 5th Fireball, you have to start doing that.
Looks like he's going to start going in and set that clock down for 1 turn.
And Sunshine has to have Shield Block into Eater of Secrets, into 2nd Shield Block if he wants a chance to come back. Highly doubt he's running those cards.
And that's going to be game number 1 going to Old Granddad. Now, with the mate gone, what do we think Old Granddad's going to lead with for the next match?
Well, he saw that there's a Taunt Warrior. He's probably going to run Druid if the Druid's a Jade Druid, which I'm guessing it's going to be since he's also running Rogue. So I think that probably is the best matchup across the board.
Sure.
And on Sunshine's side, you might just lead the Taunt Warrior again. He could He could put the priest. Thing is, the priest's best matchup was against the mage.
Yeah.
So the priest could struggle if it is a Jade Druid. Taunt Warrior or Control Paladin have better matchups than the priest, but they're both probably about 40%, maybe 30% for the Taunt Warrior.
I don't want to see the Taunt Warrior come out from Sunshine because he knows that there's a Druid on the other side, which is definitely a matchup he doesn't want to head into as the Taunt Warrior, especially if it's Jade Druid. So I don't want to see. I wouldn't like to see the Taunt Warrior again because it's very very easy to be countered by that deck. The Paladin, I think, would be a pretty strong choice here, considering that it's a good deck to test the waters and is average and slightly above average against most decks that his opponent could be running. So I think that I would like to see that come out now.
Alternatively, if Sunshine is running Silence Priest, then Silence Priest is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely. So we are getting into the next game here, and we will see what these players have decided to pull up here.
So it's the Taunt Warrior against the Jade Druid again.
All right.
And it
So
looks like the...
Go ahead.
The Jade Druid's running Acolyte of Pain, which makes me think it's the more anti-aggro version with Moonfires and Pyromancer, which could have an effect in the game, but still the Druid is still very favored.
Absolutely. This is a matchup that has been played out and confirmed to be in favor of the Druid many, many times in this meta. And unless something crazy happens, like a 6-turn quest completion or something completely crazy like that, I don't really believe that it's going to go any other way.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
there's not a lot of Jade generation in Old Granddad's hand so far, and there's
Yeah,
the Pyromancer you were talking about.
he
which
could
the
just
one
never
way,
draw Druids.
yeah, the one way Jade can easily lose to Quest Warrior is just not building those Jades up quick enough before he gets the quest completed.
Right.
So Sunshine's going to play the Tar Creeper. Old Granddad top decks the Jade Blossom, and that's a really good pickup. You definitely play that. Start building your Jades. You got to drop the second Jade guy the next turn.
You may be considering playing the Acolyte, but going for the Jade Blossom into the Behemoth is definitely a much stronger play, especially from our state. Looking at Sunshine saying he does go ahead and drop that Acolyte, maybe looking to gain a couple of draws.
I mean, I also understand the merit for dropping Acolyte. If Sunshine had the Fiery War Axe, he would have played it on turn 2. So Old Granddad probably thinks that he doesn't have it, which means that the Acolyte's probably going to get more than one draw out of it, because there's no other way for it to clear it, only getting one draw. And here we see the Jade Blossom, but the sequencing allows the 1/1 Jade Golem to die, which is quite unfortunate.
But he does get a draw out of it.
It's 2 draws out of it, and now the upside there is that the Tar Creeper will die if trading into the Wild Pyromancer is the play, and it looks like it's going to be.
So Old Granddad has options. He could go for an Auctioneer turn here with the Innervate and the Wrath. It's not that great. It's most likely just going to drop the Jade Behemoth.
Yeah, he will be able to accrue enough mana over the next couple of turns, and hopefully a couple more spells for that Auctioneer to make a really strong powerhouse turn up in the near future. So for now, playing the Behemoth is really strong and will help him get to that later phase.
Yeah, well, Sunshine just snap plays the Direhorn Hatchling.
And he is already at three quest completion, but he does seem to have run out of both taunt minions, at least until turn 8, and for the time being, draw. The Acolyte, while probably only going to get not going to get a ton of value because it's not going to be able to be attacked because of the multiple taunt minions in the way. So we'll see
So
what happens with that.
He's going to go for swipe here. I think this is probably the Auctioneer play. You can play Auctioneer and Wrath for 1, draw a card. Then you draw 2 off of the Auctioneer. It would have let you kill off one of the minions, and you could have kept like a 2/6 Bloodhoof Brave alive. This way, he's still keeping something alive, and he doesn't get the card draw from the Auctioneer.
Sunshine's going to go ahead and go Acolyte of Pain, Ravaging Ghoul, start generating that card draw. It does pick up a Curator, which is big because he'll be able to slam that down next turn. And if Old Granddad ends up killing off the Direhorn Hatchling, that's 1 more beast to be pulled from the Curator and 1 more taunt minion to be played in the next couple of turns.
So this is definitely an Auctioneer turn.
Yeah.
He's going to Wrath for 3, probably killing the Acolyte. So he decides to Wrath for 1 first.
On the Direhorn. Maybe he's thinking if he innervates and then Wraths for 3 on the Ravaging Ghoul, he gets to draw 2 extra cards, which I would imagine is the play that he's going for. He's going to trade the Behemoth into the 3/3, and I think I would like to see an innervate Wrath on the Ravaging Ghoul just to draw more cycle, get towards those bigger Jades.
And also, there's not a very good way for Sunshine, looking at his hand right now, to clear off the Auctioneer. He's going to have to go for a 50-50 brawl if Old Granddad decides to go for the Innervate Wrath. And I don't like saving it here. The only, Innervate does absolutely nothing at 10 mana other than getting you a draw with Auctioneer.
Sure. And this Fiery War Axe pickup does allow the Auctioneer to be taken out. There's a second one in the hand of Old Granddad, and so he will be able to go Auctioneer, Wild Growth, and draw with the Wild Growth, draw 3 more cards. But the Innervate could have been very critical and would have saved his first Auctioneer from dying this turn, possibly.
So we're probably going to see another Auctioneer. The Wild Growth allows him to draw 3 cards with the Auctioneer for 2 mana, which is insane.
A Mark of the Lotus here. Interesting tech choice.
So I said that the deck was Moonfire originally. The original anti-aggro deck ran Mark of the Lotus instead of Moonfire, and then people started transitioning towards Moonfire. So they probably cut Jade Spirits, and that's the only odd tech cards that they run.
Sure. Not really sure what Old Granddad's looking for here. He plays the Primordial Drake, which does activate the Enrage on the Bloodhoof Brave. And looks like he's going to Wrath for 1 to draw a card off of the Bloodhoof Brave. Sunshine will be able to trade his face plus the Enraged Brave into the Primordial Drake, kill that off, and follow up with a Curator and draw the Direhorn Matriarch that died, that was put into his deck just a few turns ago.
And the Jade counter isn't very high. Sunshine also is at 5 taunt minions. He can play 2 next turn and then complete the quest before the Jades get out of control. This might not be too bad for Sunshine.
Yeah, I think we might be running into the same situation where we had last game, where Granddad's playing a little bit too slow for us, and last time it didn't come back to bite him, but this game it's looking like it might.
I would have liked to see maybe a Jade Idol Mark of the Lotus play there, or something along those lines. I think he is saving the Mark of the Lotus to be able to use with the Auctioneer, but if he's going to play another Auctioneer turn, he's got to do it soon, because these taunts have just completed the quest. It looks like he's going to start going for that.
I think I like shuffling Jade Idols in because you're drawing at least 5 or 6 cards this turn.
I want him to play the Jade Idol first to shuffle.
Yeah.
Just so he can, once he starts cycling, get those faster. He's going to go ahead and innervate first to start drawing from there. Gets a second Mark of the Lotus.
So he's going to play Jade Idol. We'll see if he shuffles. Okay, so he does shuffle.
He does end up shuffle and draws the Jade Blossom, which he's going to go ahead and play Probably follow up with another Innervate.
I would like to
Nourish.
see the Wild Growth. He's not going to overdraw. He draws 3 cards with it. He does pick up a Jade Idol. This is
He's
going to be a
running
big
low
turn
on
for him.
time. So he is going to keep going in Wild Growth and draw again. Fandral Staghound picked up, which is a bit late. If it had come a turn earlier, he would have been able to do some crazy things with those Jade Idols. I would imagine this is a board that's going to be brawled, but we
Yeah.
will see. It could just be a Primordial Drake Sleep with the Fish's turn, which would definitely be extremely effective also. And looks like that's what's going to happen.
So he's going to go with it. I think I would have liked to see the Brawl there, just because then he can start dealing damage with the Sulfuras and then start dealing damage with the Ragnaros Hero Power. That being said, he still has quite a large board against Old
That's a
Granddad.
Yogg in
and
there.
He's in a favorable position.
That's the Yogg. Yogg's
Ooh.
going to come out, and we'll see what this Soulfire, that could be big, hits. Discards Fandral. That's going to be rough.
So Yogg can't die. That's a big thing. Yogg can't die if he targets
Now
himself.
Yogg can't. Now Yogg literally can't die to damage.
So we get
I-
another Jade Idol.
Ripping, taking out the board, and Head Crack also gonna start dealing some damage. This is insane. Jade Idol.
So Frostbolt, and he got an Innervate or a coin because he just played down his other Jade Idol in his hand. His Yogg is
Prep.
insane at this point. Oh, he got a prep.
You gotta prep.
So his Yogg killed the board, dealt damage, put Jade Idols into his deck, and put down a 6/6.
And keep in mind,
That's
Yogg literally
insane.
cannot kill itself because it has the protection.
Yeah. I mean, he could have played like Doom or something, but
Smuggler's Run, buffing the Aya and the Pyromancer.
That's a 6/5 Pyromancer in his hand.
that's it. That's yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be a snipe on the Primordial Drake. It's actually big because it puts it into swipe range.
So
Another really big thing was that he actually played another Jade Idol from that Yogg.
So the thing is, he can't, because he played Lava Burst with his Yogg, he doesn't have mana to go Aya Blackpaw into swipe, which would have been his best play. And I think he forgot about that because he doesn't have enough mana to go for the swipe this turn, which makes his jaws a little awkward.
He's going to end up gaining possibly 15 armor right now. So that will definitely put him out of the range of...
That being said, his deck left is 1 card and Jade Idols.
Yeah,
There's 1 card that's left and then all Jade Idols. I think it's a Primordial Drake, but
he's just going to keep shuffling. He'll be able to, next turn, he will be able to Nourish and draw a crap load and play a crap load of Jade Idols. Sorry, Jade Idols. And at this point, Sunshine is playing what may be seen as a little bit of a late Sulfuras. He's had it in his hand for a couple of turns, but he has needed to deal with the board state, and he is going to be able to push 8 more damage face.
So really, I would like to see the Aya come down and then just throw out a ton of Jade Idols. He still has Jade Idols left in his deck.
Yeah.
So he
Looks
doesn't
like
need to
that's what the
shuffle
play
again.
is.
He could probably shuffle 1 and then play the rest out.
Yeah. That's exactly what he's going to do. And he ends up shape-shifting at the end instead of playing out another Jade Idol. And this is probably going to be a brawl.
But even with the Brawl, the Aya gets a 9/9 out.
Whirlwind is a big pickup because that'll allow him to Whirlwind execute whatever pops out of the brawl if it's a minion on the opposing side.
So we're gonna
If the
see-
Armor Smith wins, then that's definitely good, but it looks like the 8/8 is going to come out. He's just
Oh,
gonna-
and it hits the
Just gonna
Jade.
snipe it off the board. He goes face of the weapon, which is, I think, really smart. He recognizes that the minions that are going to be played by Old Granddad now are way out of the range of things that he wants to face tank. So I think this is definitely a good read from Sunshine. He realizes that he's not going to be able to ever face tank another minion and just going to go ahead and push 4 more damage.
That being said, Old Granddad's board is going to be a 10/10 and 11/11, 12/12, and a 13/13. Decides to
He
do that.
actually shapeshifts instead and just goes for 11/11, which I don't really agree with, but it's still going to be threatening lethal. Stonehill Defender
That
plus
can
Armor
stall for a turn.
can. Right, snap pick Direhorn Hatchling, probably to shuffle the other next card in. I would have liked to see an Alley Armorsmith there instead of the Hatchling, but I get what he's saying. He wants to get more minions into his deck to save him. The Rag Shot does go face, so that's a potential 2-turn lethal if random shots do exactly what they usually do, which is go face. So we could see a comeback, but the Earthen Scales in the hand of Old Granddad's going to shut that down really fast.
I mean, the only way he comes back, he Sunshine really needs a second Brawl, and then he can Whirlwind Execute and then Hero Power, and that would stop Old Granddad from like having a board and puts him down to 7. There's a possibility for the win.
He
But at
is
this
going
point-
to use the scales here on the 13-13 to gain another 14 armor. So that's going to put him back up at 29-30 with the hero power. And this is probably going to close out the game. And
Yeah,
there's-
we get the concede from Sunshine. There's really nothing you can do at this point.
It was looking promising for a little bit that Sunshine may have been able to pull this out. But as we've seen time and time again, Jade Druid stomps Taunt Warrior.
I mean, as we've seen before, Yogg just did Yogg things. And I
Yeah.
think that was the big turning point in the game. Yogg
Absolutely.
cleared the board, gave him minions, gave him secrets.
I mean, that was a pre-nerf Yogg right there. And that was a good pre-nerf Yogg.
It was an insane Yogg, and that's the kind of things I like to see in Hearthstone. Most people don't, but that was very enjoyable for the non-Sunshine people.
Absolutely.
All right.
Being myself a non-sunshine person, I definitely enjoyed seeing that play. It's something I haven't seen in a while in THL.
So going into game 3, we have the Dragon Priest from Sunshine against the Control Paladin for Old Granddad. And Sunshine's hand's looking really nice at this point.
Well, matchup.
He has the Shadow Word Pain for when a Doomsayer comes out. He has the Dragon Activators for Draconoid Operative. The other side, Old Granddad kind of has a weak hand. He wants to put a bit of pressure on early, and he just has no ability to do that.
Looking at the hands right now, I would say I would give it to Sunshine just because he has the early reactive tools and with a Power Word Shield, the ability now to cycle a little bit once he gets to those later turns.
Yeah. So we're going to
But
see the Stonehill.
Granddad's starting to pick up.
I think you probably pick the second Stonehill. You want to get Tyrians in the matchup, especially if you're playing N'Zoth or Tarim also isn't that bad. So he does decide to go with the Stonehill. And on Sunshine's side, he can just drop the Twilight Drake, and that's a pretty solid drop.
Yep. Next turn, Sunshine's going to start activating those dragons. And there's really nothing that Old Granddad could do about it. He can play a Doomsayer, but Sunshine is just fine with going Shadow Word Pain, Power Word Shield on his next turn.
It stalls the Draconoid Operative turn, which isn't that great, but the Northshire pickup's pretty big.
Yep.
I think
How's the play down?
I'd like to see the Shadow Word Pain, the Northshire, and then healing his Twilight Drake.
After trading, yep. And obviously, he would have preferred to play Draconoid Operative that turn. But given the circumstances and the fact that the Doomsayer came down, that was still a pretty successful turn from Sunshine, and probably one that he isn't very deeply regretting.
So Kodo was a big pickup for Old Granddad. It means that he didn't have to use his True Silver to kill a Northshire Cleric. And Sunshine decides to go with the Dragonfire Potion. I'm not sure about that. The board wasn't too threatening for Old Granddad's side. It was going into the Tarim turn, so he could have been scared of that.
Yeah.
which makes sense, but I think I'd rather see a Dracanoid Operative. Especially since you have a Pain. If he plays Tarim, then after the Pain, there's only a 3/3 left on the board, and you still get to develop another card. But
Gonna go ahead and search for a secret here. Looks at Repentance, which actually would be a pretty huge pickup here. Because that Draconid Operative in his hand and even the Elise in the hand that was just drawn can totally be taken out by a 1/1.
Yep.
He's going to go ahead and grab a Getaway Kodo instead, which makes sense considering he's playing the second Stonehill Defender of the game and will be able to get a third one once
Possibly.
it's bounced back.
But he did whiff on both Stonehill Defenders. The first one got him a Stonehill Defender. The second one got him a Mogushan Warden.
He will be able to search again after this Getaway Kodo brings it back. But now there's going to be significant pressure in the form of a Draconid Operative. And we'll see what the options are. Snap pick Tarim.
He got the Tarim.
I actually don't know about that one because this minion size from Sunshine is pretty large and definitely larger than 3/3. So I'm not really sure if that was the correct grab. He did not go slow enough. I couldn't see the other choices, but
He had a
think I would've-
Ragnaros. He had
A
a Ragnaros
Ragnaros
as one of the
Lightlord?
other options, but the Paladin doesn't deal too much pressure. The Ragnaros isn't that bad. The Tarim could be used as the defensive option against like a Nazoth turn if he decides to go for it.
that's true. Yeah.
But
And-
we're going to see Lyra do Lyra things. And with the Shadow Word Pain, this is going to be a full board clear for Sunshine.
Greater Healing Potion coming into the hand. It doesn't really do much. Gives another low-cost Lyra effect, but she is going to be cleared along with the other dragons by the Equality contact. He's just going to go ahead and, I would imagine, refill that board with Twilight Drake and Elise. Or Twilight Drake Draconid Operative.
You probably drop the Draconid Operative here and just pick up another card. You don't have Shadow Visions in your hand anymore, so the Unguro pack isn't going to do much. Plus, his hand's pretty full. So
Now
he does pick.
Takes the rag.
It was over a Wicker Flame, and then I didn't see the second option, but the Ragnaros was the best play there. Can we talk about the most
He was just used.
the most underrated part of Sunshine's deck right now is that he's running all golden cards?
That is amazing.
I actually hadn't even noticed that.
That's amazing.
Oh.
Alex Straza here is huge, and he's going to go ahead and grab that. That gives him actually very significant pressure, and in
Get
fact
some-
gives him lethal next turn. If nothing on this board is addressed.
And then there's the pickup. There's the Tarim off the top. I don't see how you don't drop the Tarim here. You could possibly go for the Equality True Silver to try to deal with the board, but I think Tarim's just the overall best play.
I agree.
So it's probably Stonehill Defender. You can also coin out the Hero Power and then Tarim if you want the biggest board. You've already seen a Dragon Fire Potion leave the hand.
I think with him discovering that Alexstrasza last turn, I would have liked to see him clear off the 2/1/1 tokens to play around Tarim, since he's gonna have lethal set up either way.
Yes, I think that would have been the better play. So he goes for the
Tarim
True
can come
Silver.
down here, plus True Silver to clear off one of these 3/3s, and this is going to leave Sunshine with only a single 3/3 on the board. I'd like to see a Ragnaros drop here. What he goes for.
Divine Spirit. So he's
Divine
probably
Spirit.
also running Inner Fire to go for the control matchups to get the surprise lethal. So we see the alternate Tarim. I think I would have liked to see the Power Word Shield been played on the 3/5 to keep it alive. You just get a bigger board that way. But he could also be trying to go for a Divine Spirit Inner Fire kill.
Yeah, I believe that if he had played the Powered Shield on the 3/5. He would have been able to on the 3/3. That would have also given him an extra draw with the Northshire Cleric. So that may just have been something he didn't see or something he wasn't considering at the time. This Ivory Knight is looking not too strong at this point in the game.
The consecration would be nice. He still has an equality in the hand, but he also has another consecration. He's going to go for Light in the Darkness. Hope to get something like a Tyrion.
Maybe even a second Ivory Knight. Who knows?
This is third Stonehill Defender, third width, no class cards.
Abomination is interesting, but I would imagine that he's just going to go ahead and take the hired gun because it's low cost and he can fit it in with a curator. He goes for the Abomination. Which I think,
It was okay.
That's definitely.
Oh, he snap picks the Ragnaros.
That's exactly the kind of big thing that he was looking for off that Light in the Darkness. And the fact that it has 9 attack means that if he plays it, it will be able to kill the Terem. Talon Priest. Big one.
Okay, so we just see the full board clear come from Sunshine.
Sure.
He's got
I
a
think-
chance at a sneaky lethal next turn with the Cabal, Shadow Vision into Inner Fire, Divine Spirit Inner Fire on the 4/8.
Oh, that is a big deal. And I don't think the 4/8's going to die.
He's not going to go for the clear here. He's instead going to go for the Ragnaros hero power play. Heal back up to a significant amount of health. But
I think I like to
rips
play with
the
Shadow Vision.
If he rips the Shadow Visions, if he rips the Inner Fire with the Shadow Visions, that's going to be lethal.
Lethal. Oh, and he just top
Oh.
decks the Inner Fire
Top deck.
anyway.
Talon Priest, Divine Spirit, Inner Fire on the Primordial Drake is going to be 22 damage plus 3 from the Northshire Cleric for
Nice,
perfect
exactly.
25.
I did say I'd want to see a Silence Priest come out for Sunshine, and this was kind of like a Silence Priest.
Now that's going to be game number 3. We're going to game number 4 with Sunshine ahead 2-1.
That was a really nice tech from Sunshine. Wins the control matchups, doesn't hurt the aggro matchups that badly. It won him the game. It got him a point.
Yeah, I mean, if you can use the Divine Spirit on, say, I don't even know, a low-cost taunt minion, or maybe a Northshire Cleric against those aggro matchups, you're going to be able to trade, to do some very strong trades.
Yeah, it's these little tech choices that I think is a big reason why Team Golden Wisp is kind of running away with the league this year.
Yeah. Getting into game number 4 here.
It's going to be the Paladin for Sunshine against... Well, I think Sunshine miscued. Oh, no, never mind. He lost with the Taunt Warrior, right?
He did, yes.
Okay, my bad. I thought he won for some reason. It's going to be the Taunt Warrior against the Control Paladin.
Taunt Warrior against Control Paladin, okay. I don't actually know this matchup very well. I think this goes in the favor of the Taunt Warrior, just because the Doomsayers are in the early game are not going to be very strong, and by the later points of the game, it's going to be probably easily cleaned up by a hero power.
Well, Vicious Syndicate says it's a 50-50 matchup. It's almost the closest 50-50. It's a 49.7%
Wow,
for the Control Paladin.
it's pretty crazy.
So back to the game. We're going to see the Accolade of Pain get dropped here. And there's I do think I would like to see the Accolade. You really want to draw cards as the Taunt Warrior, get your Sulfuras out quickly. And other than True Silver, he's going to draw extra cards.
That is going to be a giant ravaging ghoul spectator bug for me. I don't know about you guys.
Nope. Alright, so we see the Doomsayer from Old Granddad. Probably go with the hero power. Sunshine could clear it with the sleep with the fishes, but I don't think having the 3/3 or having the tempo in this matchup is that important. I think I'd just like him see hero power pass. And I think that's probably what he's gonna do.
Yep. Pretty simple, strong move there. Gonna that Doomsayer, interestingly enough, could have been used later in the game against, say, larger board of taunts, and maybe hide behind like that Rathion we just saw get picked up or something.
Or even
maybe Tyrion
could have
but-
also been played after an equality turn.
after an
Stop.
equality turn. Yeah. Now he goes ahead and drops the Acolyte instead of playing the Armorsmith. He's going to coin out a Stonehill Defender also. He's going to grab another Dire Horn Hatchling to add to the deck. Unfortunately, this deck is not 100% golden.
He seems
Which
to
is
really
gonna
like
say
those dire,
lacking.
dire horns. Every time he can pick one up, I think he's grabbed one.
Yep.
So he goes for the Rathian instead of trying to get the 50/50 to kill the Acolyte with the Kodo. And I think I would have liked to see the 50/50 come out.
Armorsmith here, not going to do very much. Dire Horn Hatchling is going to come out. And Sunshine's going to start drawing some cards.
Yeah, Darwin Hatchling's just the best minion to drop. Has the most stats, doesn't die to the Kodo.
That Kodo is a pretty big deal because now it's going to be able to 100% kill the Acolyte. We're going to go ahead and see a Hydrologist come out as well to look for maybe Getaway Kodo does not find one, and
It's probably going to be the Redemption.
the Redemption is going to come out.
You get the Redemption off the Tyrion, then you just kind of win the game at that point. So we're going to see the Ali Armorsmith. There's the possibility that Old Granddad goes for the Kodo and tries to kill off the Ali Armorsmith. I think I'd rather see the Equality come out this turn with the Pyromancer. Then you can drop the Wicker Flame that turn, because then also Aldor Peacekeeper Stampeding Kodo is a single target removal.
Yep. He could also go for a bit of a stronger line in the terms of tempo and trade a Hydrologist and just slam a Tyrion down. Sunshine is only at 3 out of 7 on his quest and is not looking at a great load of taunts in the near future. That Primordial Drake is not going to do anything against this board, especially considering the board is empty. He could drop it for tempo, but that's going to get straight removed by the Aldor into Stampeding Kodo. Tar Creeper is
He is
actually going to
gonna
go
for
and
the
drop
Primordial
Primordial Drake.
Now Old Granddad's just going to have a huge board. Oh! He just drops the Tyrion. So maybe he... Okay, the Tyrion with the Redemption. The Tyrion is pretty much always going to come back at this point.
And Battle Rage is actually not bad because of the trade with the Wicker Flame. He's going to be able to draw twice, gets an Ali Armorsmith, and is going to be able to get a little bit more completion on his quest and draw 2 more taunts to be able to continue that. And he does have the minions in his hand to complete the quest, but it will take 3 more turns to play it.
Yeah, so we're going to see the Kodo to kill off the Armorsmith. The Tyrion's going to trade into the Primordial Drake. Basically, he just wants to have the board. He wants to get rid of Sunshine's board.
What do you think are the chances of him dropping Primordial Drake and then executing the 3/5 to play around the Redemption here?
Play around Redemption? I don't think
no.
so, but he's just going to go ahead
He
and
does
execute.
play
Oh.
around it.
Oh,
That was a good play. I think I'd rather see Sleep with the Fishes, though. It does the same thing, and you have 2 of them instead of the 1 execute.
Sleep with the Fishes wouldn't have killed any of the minions.
It would have killed the
The Kodo.
Dakota.
Dakota was at 4 health.
It was at
3
5, but
Well,
there was
5
the
after
there was the
Primordial,
two
3
damage
after
from the
Primordial.
Drake and then the 3 damage from Sleep from the Fishes.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have done the same thing, and then you just have more options later in the game. This way, you're kind of pigeonholed into one thing.
Sure. And he does now he does not have a very easy answer to a Ragnaros. If and when it comes down.
And I think he misplayed that turn. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but this way, there's not much else he can develop. He could have developed a Primordial Drake instead of the Aldor Peacekeeper. He's probably just going to hero power and then pass. There's not much else he can do. Or he doesn't even hero power. Maybe he's playing around Brawl.
Clear that off, and Tar Creeper, and maybe an Armor Smith. Yep, Armor Smith as well. Is going to actually complete that quest. So next turn, he will be able to play Sulfuras and start firing away. And this does give him a very strong answer to a Ragnaros if he's able to snipe it.
So he could play Primordial Drake, trade his minion in and the weapon, and then all Sunshine has left is a 1/2 Armor Smith.
Looking at the Doomsayer there. He's gonna drop Doomsayer. Start poking away with his weapon. Just gonna leave it at that. Sulfuras is gonna come down. Hero power. Sulfuras.
Try to kill off the Doomsayer, and then if he does, drop the Direhorn Hatchling.
Absolutely. He's going to go for the 1 and 3. Actually, the 50-50.
The 50-50.
With the attack.
Oh, and he misses it. So he's not going to drop the Direhorn Hatchling. It's not a super big deal.
Fortunately, that doesn't mean he misses 2 armor from the hero power, but that was unavoidable. Osrook, Wicker Flame, and Grimestrew Protector. I would like to see the Grimestrew Protector, maybe.
I think the Wicker Flame is the best play at this point.
He does go
It
for the
it lets you go wide on the board this turn, and it has Divine Shield, which is the big deal.
If he's able to get Grime Street down next to a Ragnaros, that'll protect it from a hero power. He's going to go ahead and play it right now and try to maybe soak the 1 and 3 Rag Shot on his Stonehill. Also protects his Stonehill from the weapon. But it looks like he's just going to go ahead, attack in, re-equip a new weapon, and hero power with that Direhorn Hatchling now. And it's gonna go
and it hits face. Oh, the Harrison was a nice pickup here.
Harrison is nice, but I think he's gonna. Old Granddad's probably gonna go with Ragnaros here, just to get back up to 17 and stay out of range of some random crazy damage.
I'm curious
Now,
about
the
the.
interesting thing is that he
Hey,
can't.
you-
He can attack, but you were gonna say.
Yeah, I think the Harrison is still the better play here. If you Harrison, there's not really a way that the Sunshine could have dealt the extra damage other than if he got a second weapon. This way, Brawl and Hero Power kind of ruins Old Granddad's day.
Yeah, and in this way, he also is not able to attack because it would have given a possibility of missing the Rag heal. Ragnaros does win the Brawl, which means that unless we win 50-50 here from Sunshine, he misses.
I want to see the
That's
slam.
pretty much of 8 health.
I wanted to see the slam there, because then it's a 50-50 on whether Old Granddad can heal face or not, and then it just sets up lethal in further turns. This way, the heals is always going to go face.
Harrison's going to
think-
come down, draw another card. Hydrologist as well. Maybe look at the Getaway Kodo or the Redemption. I don't ever see Noble Sacrifice. I don't see a world where Noble Sacrifice is the play.
No,
So I'd match one of the other two.
I do think Redemption's better than the Getaway Kodo. For in the because in the situation where it hits the hero power hits the Ragnaros, spending the 8 mana is a big deal instead of just having an 8/1, because the 8/1 effectively does the same thing. So I want to see the Redemption be played here.
Set up lethal next turn. unless Sunshine has a way to deal with this board. Execute's a big pickup.
Well, he gets an Acolyte, which is a big deal too. And then you can Hero Power, and he's kind of hoping the 5/4 gets hit.
Pretty
So
sure
far,
that,
Sun-
that he's dead. Yeah, I think that's lethal. 7 on board plus Rallying Blade.
yeah, that's lethal. And then the
Consecration.
Consecration. And then even with the Spike Ridge Steed, that's lethal that way too.
Yeah, let's see if he sees it.
We missed the lethal and had extended BM in the SHL match earlier, so maybe we'll have some more extended BM here.
Always a good time. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, he's hovering over the minions, kind of counting. Maybe got out a calculator to make sure. You never know.
Ivory Knight.
Oh, he doesn't see the lethal.
Now that could come back and bite him in the ass. Silver Moon Portal could get a Doomsayer here.
It
Technically,
could. This
that would be hilarious. And oh, he does pick up the Silver Moon. Come on, please,
on to the Doomsayer. Punish.
please, please.
And he gets a Succubus. That's one of the better ones too.
One of the better ones.
Never punished. I mean, regardless, I think old Granddad really has this game in the bags. So we can slam Sleep with the Fishes, Direhorn Matriarch. Oh, this is a
That's
full
big
clear.
pickup.
That is a
That
big
is-
pickup.
That's really big. That means that there is no lethal in the hand.
So maybe missing lethal was a big deal. So we're gonna see the hero
I
power.
think we're going to see a Spike Ridge Steed play. No, just a
No,
Tarim
the
play.
Terra. And then on the flip side, you have to drop the Direhorn Matriarch here, right? What are you
Well-
getting from Curator? You're not really
Wait.
getting anything. You're getting another Direhorn Hatchling.
Well, those both can be played in the same turn, and Curator does the same thing attack-wise. They'll still clear off those 3/3s. If this
No,
hits 3/7, it goes face. So
Okay,
that's-
so he
that's
definitely
actually
has
lethal.
lethal here. There's
Wow.
no way you can miss a lethal here.
Yep, he sees
Yeah,
it.
he sees it.
He sees
That's
it.
going to be game number 4.
Well, you never know. He could just hero power. Okay, no, he sees the consecration. So instead of missing lethal, that was just what we call extended BM.
Exactly.
Wanted to get into Sunshine's head, saying, "Oh, I can beat you in further turns." Try to tilt him even more. Playing the mind games for going into game 5, I think.
You know, it's interesting
Well,
because
that was
playing,
the final game.
if he had played the Direhorn Matriarch there, then I don't
That
know
was-
if he would have got lethal.
That was the final game. Okay, so Old Granddad does win
That was the final game?
the series.
All right.
Wins the
Well,
series
that's-
3-1. I don't know why Sunshine won. I thought Sunshine won. But that's a big win for Noob Central. Picking up the 4 points to get even closer to a playoff spot.
Absolutely.
And then with those 4 points, I think my team Defias is officially knocked out.
Disappointing. Can you correct me on this if I'm wrong, but if he had played the Matriarch there, it would have had 3 more health, and I don't think Old Granddad would have had lethal.
No, but he did pick up the equality at the end for the top
He
deck.
did pick up equality. Okay.
Yep. So now we have our
Would he-
last
would
game.
he have had the mana for lethal if he had played equality?
Well, because he had a quality concentration, and Sunshine was at 9 health, and he had 9 damage on board, so it was lethal regardless.
Got it.
Right. So we have our third matchup coming up, the last one of the day. It's going to be Boom Boom Hall versus Pink Samus.
All right.
So, Boom Boom Hall is bringing Druid, Paladin, Rogue, Shamans. We see another Rogue. Then Pink Samus is bringing Druid, Paladin, Shaman, Warrior. And so far, Boom Boom Hall, after losing to Asuna in week 1, is on a 7-week winning streak. And on the other side, Pink Samus is very back and forth with the wins and the losses. So this is also a big game for Xynergy, because they're neck and neck with Valkyrie for one of the playoff spots for the green division and for the green purple conference.
Sure.
I'd just like to point out that we actually have another.
So do you
rogue
got
ring
any
here.
predictions for the decks? Think we're
Um,
gonna see a Quest Rogue?
I think it's definitely possible. Quest Rogue, like we said, beginning of the previous match, is leaving THL, presumably. So this could be an homage to Quest Rogue with this kind of lineup. This looks to be a pretty aggressive lineup, or can be easily a pretty aggressive lineup. Druid, Paladin, Shaman, typically brought in THL as either counter decks or in an aggressive lineup. A token aggro Druid and the aggro Paladin and a token Shaman could definitely hint towards an aggressive rogue. So Crest Rogue. However, if we see a Jade Druid or Control Paladin or even a Control Shaman, that could give a bit of an insight into maybe we see a Miracle Rogue from Boom Boom Hall here.
Yeah. And we could also see a rogue ban like the last game, and then a bunch of control decks, although it didn't work out as well for Sunshine as he hoped.
Right.
But yes, if Boom Boom Hall gets the 4 points here, then Xynergy will have 2 games remaining against his Valkyrie's 1 game remaining, and they'll be down by only 8 points. So if they get 3 wins and Valkyrie loses, they could easily pass them.
Yep.
And I played the last.
Definitely a big deal.
Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna wait on the bans, and we're gonna be adding them so that we can get the game started soon. So
Alright,
this
King
would be the time for chat to start betting.
King just messaged me saying I can drop out of this ladder match if you guys are ready.
Tell them to do it. There's dead air.
Rank 17 doesn't matter. And I wouldn't know, I'm ranked 20. So.
I mean, you gotta ask him if he's on a win streak. If he's on a win streak, he can't do this.
Yeah.
But I think this would probably be the point where chat would start betting on their points. He's gonna win the series for the THL Twitch points.
Oh.
You can get player articles, you can get team articles. There's a guest spot in Salty Saturday in Tavern Talk, I think. There's a guest spot casting on the streams. Detrucci has a off-season plan to make the off-season a bit less boring, more exciting. If someone has 3,000 points to spend on it, lots of things if you want to bet. Or you could just duel people for points. And
that's my favorite, is dueling people and taking all their points.
Oh, that's my favorite. D Lineman dueled me 500 points, lost, and got upset and dueled me 1,000 points and lost again.
All right, so it looks like they're hopping in now. Once they pass along the bands, then we'll be good to go ahead and get started.
Also, Pink Samus is on NWA, I believe, and they're way out of a playoff position. So we could see some off-meta decks from Pink Samus.
That would be a good time.
I mean,
do either of you know if Xynergy is either confirmed playoff spot or on the cusp, can make it, can fall out?
Yeah, so basically I think 2 of the 3 last playoff spots is going to go to Valkyrie, Synergy, or Hearthstone Academy. Hearthstone Academy being the long shot. But if Boom Boom Hall wins this matchup, then they're 8 points behind Valkyrie with a game in hand. So they have to play 2 games, and then Valkyrie only plays 1. So this is a big game for Synergy. Like, they need to win this week.
Yeah. Definitely important.
And I mean, I'm not going to say Valkyrie's sucking, but I mean, they're playing my team Defias, and we kind of gave up 2 weeks ago when we're out of playoff spot. So like GNet's won with a Blood Bloom Warlock game. I might be bringing Malygos Hunter, so they should probably win this game if they want a playoff chance.
All right, so just got confirmation on the band. It looks like Boom Boom Hall had his Shaman band, and Pink Samus had his Paladin band.
All right, so it looks like standard bands. It looks like Pink Samus is probably, Pink Samus is probably bringing aggro decks if he's not banning the rogue.
Oh, Quest Shaman.
Ooh.
And I have a feeling Quest Shaman probably has a pretty good matchup against Jade Druid.
Oh, that's a very good matchup for Quest Shaman. That's like one of the matchups that it can actually win. Oh, and they started the game early.
Yeah, so it looks like Boom Boom Hall just went ahead and threw out his Jade Idol, made a Golem, and Pink Samus played the quest and coined out a Tidecaller just to start getting those Murlocs rolling.
This is a Quest Murloc Shaman we're seeing.
Quest Murloc Shaman.
Oh, baby.
It's probably meme deck, boys. Man, these guys are playing real quick. Boom Boom Hall is still doing animations, and it's Pink Samus' turn on my side.
I'm not even in the game.
Okay, so the Pharaoh Rage killed off the 0-3. Pink Samus is dropping his Murlocs. He's dropping Primal Fin Totem. He dropped the Murloc Tidecaller. He's trying to get his quest built up. Boom Boom Hall on the other side. He had Jade Blossom that he has the option to play. He picked up the second one. He's going to play the Jade Blossom. Pink Samus' turn. He's probably going to kill it with the Bluegill Warrior and then play the Bilefin.
Ooh,
Hunter.
Earth and Scales it.
Or the Scales.
Oh, the Gentle Megasaur pickup. That's a big pickup. Like, hitting 3 Murlocs is really good. I think there's no way you don't drop the Gentle Megasaur here.
Yeah, and there's plenty of ways to, with the Gentle Megasaur, guarantee the kill on that 3-3 and protecting your Totem and your Tidecaller. So I don't see how you don't do that, but I guess you could take the guaranteed with the Bluegill.
You could have also got greedy and hope he doesn't top deck swipe, which he might. He goes for it. He's going to go for the greedy play.
Yeah.
Well, this is lots of damage from the Murloc Tidecaller.
And he's building up that Murloc count quick. I believe he's already at 6 out of 10.
So
It
Boom
doesn't
Boom
look
Hall,
like Boom Boom Hall has a very easy way of clearing this off, so that Megasaur is going to get some serious value if this is not contested. Innervate is not going to do it.
with the Innervate pickup, I think he draws cards. But if not, I would have liked to see the crystals, and then he also plays the Jade Blossom.
Boom Boom Hall is not going to be able to do anything to this board. That Megasaur is going to be able to hit 4 Murlocs. And if he gets +3 attack, this is going to be damage. And there's another one.
Oracle?
That's a big
I
thing.
honestly think I'd like to see him trade the taunt off just to drop the Oracle before the Megasaur.
I actually like hitting with the Oracle and then trading with the Bilefin Tidehunter to kill it off, and then you play the Megasaur. Because he doesn't have lethal, like whatever he does.
True, and that's what he's going to go do. He's going to get, I would imagine, +3 health, protect against a swipe. This is a large board. And not a very nice one at that.
And I
Immortal
don't
Drake
think
is going to clear off nothing.
it clears off a 1/1 taunt.
Okay, sure. Clears off a 1/1 taunt.
I
Swipe
mean,
getting picked up will
he
give him the
can
ability
swipe
to clear
and
off
hero
the
power. He can swipe the Tide Hunter. He can hero power it.
Then he just dies.
He's at 16. He takes 7. Yeah, he just kind of dies. I think, like, you just saw it here, guys. Quest Shaman, a tier 1 deck.
Yeah, the
Start
Jade
playing it on
is
ladder.
not going to be a 5/5 is not going to be enough to Earthen Scales for more health. You're just going to play the taunt and hope there's no more Murlocs drawn. But
Well, he does stop lethal this way. But
a Rockpool Hunter is going to be able to have the Tide Caller kill off that Drake, and that's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8,
Put him
9,
down to
10,
4 health.
11 damage.
yes, and then also with the Primal Fin Totem getting another Murloc, he completes the quest this turn.
Yeah.
So he fills up his hand
And
afterwards.
he's going to be able to deal, to deal another 11 damage.
Plus, Swipe only kills the Primal Fin Totem and the 1/1 token. Like,
Plus whatever
Swipe
he-
isn't good here. He could run Starfall, which is better than Swipe in like 90% of the matchups at this point, but I don't think he is. So I think this is just game over.
That's going to be the game. Once he comes out with Nourish, Innervate.
Innervate Yogg, that doesn't do it. Like he needs to stall and then he needs to get a Yogg turn. That's the only way I can see him winning, right?
I mean, I was thinking of like if he had Innervate, like Nourish, and then Jade Spirit, Innervate Earthen Scales, that wouldn't even have done anything. That's going to be game 1 going to
Pink Samus. So
With the
we
Dank
see the
Quest Shaman.
Murloc Shaman winning over the Jade Druid.
Class anyone, of course. Best deck NA.
I have a feeling that's
So
probably
with
by
Murloc
far the
Shaman, I
best
have to
deck.
think that Pink Samus isn't bringing like meta decks.
No,
So
I
he
wouldn't
could be
think so.
bringing some like super wacky stuff.
Seems
like
so.
Like an aggro paladin.
This looks like
Maybe
a
not.
standard
Okay, so we'll
aggro
see-
druid from him.
Aggro Druid come out for Pink Samus. And then we have a Murloc Paladin for Boom Boom Hall. This is... It really comes down to whether the Paladin can clear off the Aggro Druid board once and then establish their own board.
Right.
I'm wondering if it's possible. I know this is a meme that I've done in the past that Pink Samus
This
might be
matchup
running
can either be
water
very
package in
one-sided
every
in one
single deck.
direction. It's all going to depend on the starting hands. And it looks like Pink Samus, it looks like both of them have very aggressive starting hands.
All right, so we're just going to see the Firefly from Pink Samus. Oh, and Boom Boom Hall is running more of a mid-range or control mid-range variant, but he doesn't have like anything to play in the first 2 turns unless he wants to coin something out. So we're probably going to see the Galactic Crawler come down from Pink Samus, just the best play. Then he's going to hit face.
Yep.
Boom Boom Hall's probably going to coin out the Rallying Blade. He's
Yeah,
going
you
to
just
kill
gotta
off the Galactic Crawler. Yep.
You just got to slow the tempo of the druid down till he can get a big Finja turn off.
Now, Pick Samus can make some big elementals here. Just going to go ahead and play them for what they are, which is 1/2s, and Boom Hall is going to respond with the Stonehill Defender. Unless he rips something from the top he wants to play with that 2/1. Hydrologist. No,
So he
he's
just
gonna
rips the
go
Stonehill
ahead with
Defender.
The Stonehill and pick up another Stonehill.
So we see the Vicious Fletchling. And it has to be a Vicious Fletchling, mark the Lotus turn. I have to think.
Yeah, it brings it out of range of the Rallying Blade and clears off the Stonehill. It'll be dealt with by the Consecrate most likely, though.
And that allows the Living Mana to go for a turn. Like, this is a really good play. That was a really good draw from Pink Samus.
Absolutely. Definitely something he needed here.
Yeah, so I don't see anything other than concentration here. Fletchling's just too strong.
Fledgling is going to be able to, if Big Samus wants to go that route, gain another attack. And oh, never mind. I forgot about the weapon.
All right, so the living mana comes down. It's going to get marked the Lotus next turn. The Finja comes, but like Finja can't kill anything unless they.
Oh,
Oh, that's lethal.
That is lethal.
That is no, that's one. Oh yeah, that is lethal. That's lethal by 1 damage. He's 22 damage with the Innervate Savage Roar.
Crazy.
It's 8,
That's
6,
gonna be
20 on
insane.
board, and then the 2 from the hero. Hey, Pink Samus winning another aggro game.
I mean, what can we say? It's a deck that when it hits what it needs, and it definitely did there.
Yeah,
It's very
he's
difficult.
winning. He's winning the games before turn 7, and
It's a
so Pink
strategy
Samus is up 2-0.
and now I'm assuming probably Pirate Warrior, since that kind of fits the theme of all aggro on Pink Samus's side.
And wouldn't it be hilarious if it was just a tall warrior in the middle of this lineup?
Or just like a control warrior, like a fatigue one.
Sudden
Cthulhu
Genesis
Warrior.
Arcane Giant
Oh, let's see
Warrior.
a Cthulhu warrior. I mean, Slimsh isn't here, so it's not going to be a Cthulhu warrior.
The one day Slim's is gone.
That would have been funny.
Warriors queued up in what he was supposed to cast. How did you
So,
feel about
okay, we see a Crazed Alchemist from Boom Boom Hall's hand.
it? In its warrior hand?
In Boom Boom
Paladin.
Hall's Paladin hand, you see a
Oh,
Crazed
no,
Alchemist.
I'm not in yet.
It's an anti-shaman tech. It's an anti-control tech. It's just really weird right now. No one's really playing it, but I think it's a very underrated card.
Keeps the upgrade, and it looks like it's going to work out for him here.
So, do you ever play the South Sea deckhand here?
I think
Probably,
so.
right?
Deal with the ramping Murloc and just get board control.
Yeah, and deal 2 damage to face.
And you just curve
Seems
out
good.
nicely from there. Well, as far as Pirate Warrior's curve goes, because Pirate Warrior usually only curves out to about 4.
Oh, the hero power. I think that's a misplay from Boom Boom Halls. You have to play the Murloc that can test with the board. Pink Sam is just gonna run with it. Blood Cell Cultist is gonna be proc now. South Sea Capcan works. I would have liked to see the Rockpool Hunter.
I agree. This is gonna be
Ooh, gonna pick up the Fiery
Spiraling.
War Axe.
Alright, so that's 4 more damage for Pink Samus. Boom Boom Hall can play the Consecration, but then he loses all the tempo he has. He gives the tempo back to Pink Samus. There's no way to get it back with the weapon. And honestly, the board wasn't too threatening. He probably could have got away with the Vilefin Inquisitor and then the Rockpool Hunter.
Big Samus is going to go ahead and follow up with the South Sea Captain, and I would imagine the Fire.
Yeah, like that lets him get the Cultist onto the War Axe.
Yeah, I think I want to see him hit face here. Which he doesn't. I'm surprised.
This Vilefin Inquisitor is not going to be able to be cleared up by a 2-1 weapon, where it would have been able to if by the upgraded War Axe.
Well, he's going to upgrade the 2-1 weapon. Means he gets 4 turns of a Fiery War Axe instead of 3 turns of a Formant of like a Death Spite, but I don't know. I think I'd like to go face.
So Karth from the long ago.
So this is a big turn to see what he does.
Yeah.
What Pink Samus does. Whether he wants to go all face and set up, hopefully drawing charge minions, or if he decides to play around Tarim or Spike Ridge Steed, which he can't do completely, but he can still do it a little bit.
I would like to see a full face push. Go in with the fact, thinking that my opponent has not been able to do very good to stop me so far, and he's already used a consecration. So the chances that he'll have another big board affecting ability is lower. He is going to go ahead and trade, kill off the 3 health minion with his weapon, which stops it from being able to trade into the South Sea Captain.
I like the weapon trade, but I'd like to see him go face with the rest and basically force him to have an answer.
Looks like he's
I don't-
going to
I like
route.
I like the trades here. I think leaving a big board up to get Tarim is one of the ways you lose this matchup. This way, Tarim isn't even that good.
Tarim actually increases damage by 1.
Well,
By more
there's
than
also
that,
the
it increases
3/7
damage by
taunt.
3.
There's a 3/7 damage with taunt though, so
That's true.
that's a problem. It actually increases it by 4, but that's
Right.
that's just me being pedantic. Because you're gonna have a 4/4, a 3/3, and then 3/3/3s.
Oh, I guess it's still a pirate. Yeah.
Oh,
He's going to go ahead and buff that 1/3. Trade into the captain? Yeah, trade into the captain. This
And
gives some outs
the
for
Falling
lethal.
Berserker is gonna
Not gonna-
punish him.
Not going to pick it up.
Yeah, but if he just full trades, then
It's going to full trade, but he is going to meet the curator that is going to be automatically taken out by that berserker. I would imagine we're going to see a Tarim Noble Sack play.
Yeah.
Just to stop that berserker, because there is nothing that stands in the way of it once it starts growing.
But
Group
even
Skill Chum
that-
does nothing here.
the Berserker still grows after that too. Like the Berserker is
true.
just a really good draw for Pink Samus.
But if he plays curator, he is not escaping. I mean, curator can maybe draw. Curator can draw him a Primordial Drake actually, if he has them in his deck,
True.
which is pretty big. He's going to go ahead and play the curator. 3, 4, 5, 6.
That in the
But
Nixia?
that's lethal. He is lethal regardless. If he hits everything in, then the Frothing Berserker gets buffed up to lethal.
Especially with the Arcanite Reaper pickup here. That's going to be lethal, and that's going to be a 3-0 sweep.
I just want
I
to
think
point out that
Samus-
that's an Anixia on Boom Boom's Hall's hand.
Oh,
Doesn't even rip the Primordial Drake.
so Nixia and Crazy Alchemist. That's a crazy deck. But
Crazy-
Pink Samus got the 3-0 win, which is a big deal for Valkyrie, and it's also a big deal for HSA if they win their games and have a chance to move on to.
Yep.
Which they did. They have 2 3-0 wins, so
So looks like we are going to see Pink Samus again in the playoffs.
no, NWA's out though. So that's a big deal for the green division. But those are some good 3 series. We had an aggro series, we had a control series, and then we had a bit of the middle. Fun
Well,
for
thank
the
you guys for letting me come on and help out with the casting.
Thanks for
First
casting.
time we
Yeah,
were
thanks
casting,
for
so
coming
it
helping
was-
out. That way I can focus on
Yeah.
OBS.
and It's the first time I've ever casted, so it was a bit of a new experience, but I enjoyed it. And thank you guys for letting me help out. My pleasure.
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll be cutting the stream off here. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you Detective Diamond and Hockey Boys for joining me.
All right. See you guys online.